Hello, snowboarders of the internet. I'm your host, Avran LeFeber, and this is Top 5s, the only weekly Top 5 show in snowboarding currently, until someone bites on this trend. Surprised this really hasn't happened sooner. Anyways, this week's Top 5, the Top 5 Surfy Bindings. That's right, those bindings that just let you get a little more slashy, have a lot more feel, are really good in powder or when you're party boarding. So let's dive right into it. Number 5, the Flux TT. This unibody constructed binding has a super soft high back, and if you know Flux bindings, you know that even their stiffest binding isn't that stiff. So when they say it's moderately stiff, it means it's soft. And what does that mean? That means you're going to get a lot of lateral play in that binding. The straps are going to hold you down, but you're going to have that give that allows you to have that more over-exaggerated turns, which is going to make it slashy. Sure, it is a park binding, and that's great when you're party boarding. But when you're in that slush and you just want to spray a family of fat skier people, you're going to thank me when you're on the Flux TT. And it just lets you slide right in, and it gives you zero precision to actually get on edge, which just creates a big wake of slush, and then it's a tsunami, and then they die, and well, if they die, that's less people on the hill, which means less lift lines, so you're welcome. Number 4, the now IPO, but there is a caveat with this. You want to add that high cup in there that replaces the high back, so it becomes that no back. And that's going to just sit you in there with no high back, so your boot is going to get more lateral play. And the reason you want to do this is that I've found over the years, riding now bindings, there just is a little bit of a lack of lateral play in there just with the way the skate tech works. Now the skate tech is going to give you that feel of being able to lift your heel or toe depending on when you go from toe to heel edge, as that binding just kind of rotates on there on that pivot point with the skate tech. So that's kind of nice, but without that high back, you're going to get that feel and flex as your ankle is able to move around in there, making it a little bit more surfy. Number 3, the Solomon District. The big thing to note with this binding is that it has the shadow fit technology, which creates a soft heel cup. This gives you the ability to shift your heel inside the binding as if you were on a skateboard. So you can just sort of move it around in there, and there's going to be just a more defined flex in there. So when you drive into that binding, the whole boot and heel cup is going to shift a little bit before it engages. And with the District being the softest one of their bindings with that shadow fit, you're going to get the most play, which is going to make it surfy. So when you go into a slashy turn, your heels are actually going to be able to move around in there a little bit, which is going to mimic the movements you would have on a surfboard when you're just doing a cutback on a wave, or if you're riding a skateboard up a bank and you're just trying to just do a slashy little carve with it. Number 2, the Union Contact Pro. This freestyle focused binding actually has a mini disc that minimizes how much contact this binding has with the board. It's designed to just have a really loose feel to it. It's for someone that's surfing pow or jibbing trees instead of rails. It's going to have a lot of lateral flex in the way it's designed, and the way the straps work is they're not bulky, they're not stiff, they allow you to flex more into your boot. So what it does is it allows you to surf around inside the binding and not be as precise with the power that you push down into your toe or heel edge. Now the big thing is these do break in a little bit more, so they're just going to get surfier as you ride them more, which isn't a bad thing if you're really looking for a binding that's super playful. The only thing that I can say is not the most damp binding out there, so if you have foot problems or you're really worried about impacts, might not be the one you want if you're doing drops while you're trying to surf or party board. Honorable mentions, all great bindings, but just barely didn't make it on this list. The Union Strata, the Rome Crux, the K2 lineup. And the number 1 surfy slashy binding for 2020-2021 is the K2 Lean AT. The reason it makes it this high on the list is the adaptability of this binding. You got that heel block that you can take out to give it a little bit more surfy feel. It sits on that pod system, so you got 3 pods in there, minimizing the amount of contact that the binding has with the board, as well as the size of the disc. This gives a lot of lateral play as well as to toe and heel, so that way the whole binding just moves and functions as one. It makes it the ultimate surfy combo, plus the high back is soft, the straps grip, but they're not like these precise power-driven ones. You can really just push through it, and essentially they're just cupping the boot on top of the binding. This will give you the most surfy feel out of everything on this list. This has been my top 5 list of surfy bindings for 2020-2021. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own a pair on here? Are you gonna buy a pair off of here? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this list. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.